My name is Drew Harrison. I'm a fine and contemporary artist, and I've been commissioned by BrandNet for the Air Force second edition medallions. So this follows up essentially the first edition medallions, which were in commemoration of the Royal Australian Air Force 100th anniversary of the centenary. And the first edition ones were actually based on existing paintings of mine. So these were artworks that were already painted, and 5 of those 6 first edition paintings were actually prize winners in the RAAF Heritage Awards over the last few years. So it's a great privilege to have these artworks used for those first edition medallions, and it's been really exciting to see essentially how well they've been received by the public. So they've been selling really well, and as a result of that, BrandNet commissioned me to do the next 6 for the second edition of those. With BrandNet, we've actually worked together a fair bit over the last few years for a lot of different projects, from the Sands of Gallipoli project, but also the for the Vietnam War commemoration, and also for the First War Centenary Diary Collection. So we've done a fair few projects previously. So with this second edition, it's actually a really fun step to go through, because we could actually respond to what the public was saying about the first edition medallions. And I guess the first thing was we had lots of different social media comments and responses, mainly questioning where was the F-111, for example, or the Hercules. So it was a great opportunity to respond to those comments and cater these products to specifically to our market. So essentially, a pick a plane poll was run through different outlets, and we had a great response to that. And as a result, I was commissioned to do 6 of those paintings. So the top results were actually a little bit surprising, I guess. Not surprising in that the F-111 and the Hercules made it into the group, but it was really surprising that the Orion was not there. But apart from that, we had a good range of aircraft to work with, and the only difference was we decided to leave out the P-40 for the time being, because we had a really good mix of different aircraft in our first series, and we wanted to sort of carry that through with the second edition as well. So instead of the P-40, hopefully we'll get a chance to do that one maybe in the future. We've put in the Sabre instead. So essentially the picks were the Hercules, the F-111, Lancaster, Catalina, P-51 Mustang, and the CAC Sabre at the end of that as well. So let's start looking at the Hercules. The Hercules painting, I wanted to create a bit of a point of difference to the Globemaster, which we had in the first edition. The Globemaster painting I'd done was actually a second prize in one of the previous Heritage Awards. So it's nice to, I guess, create sort of a companion to that, but also different. So the Globemaster was a 36 squadron machine, which with the Hercules decided to focus on 37 squadron, the other transport unit. And with the Hercules, I guess it's a difficult one to focus on, because it's been in service for so many years, for 60 odd years in the Australian Air Force. So there's lots of different stories I could look at, but one of the key things I decided to do with these medallions was to focus a little more on the general day-to-day use of the aircraft, as opposed to maybe a specific incident. So in the first edition, a lot of those paintings, because they're for different applications, they were mainly based on individuals. So in this particular edition, it was looking at how we could make them, give them a broader appeal to a wider audience. So that was one of the decisions I was thinking about when I was painting the Hercules. So looking at sort of a fairly general day-to-day type of operation to work with. From the get-go, I guess I wanted to really focus on maybe the camouflage version of the Hercules, and while I was doing that, I'd seen some images online about its operation in Afghanistan and the Middle East. So I thought it was a good opportunity to sort of focus in on that area. So that's where it came about, the Afghanistan concept. And again, looking at the rugged sort of capability of the Hercules and how it could best represent that in that scene. So with the composition I came up with, it's a fairly tight crop on the actual aircraft, so you get a good sense of its capability and its size, but also, it's landing on a really rough terrain, which is another aspect that the Hercules or the C-130 is always been known for. So it's good to sort of focus in on that and give it a real sort of impact. So it's a fairly straightforward composition on the Hercules. The lighting I sort of played around with more of a dusk type of scene. So it's got a sort of a bit of a late afternoon glow to that scene, and then a bit of side lighting, and got the landing lights on as well, which give it a nice sort of atmosphere to it. The other consideration when we were leading into the second edition medallions was to, well, I really wanted, I guess, focus on aircraft which did have that sort of broad appeal. And as I was thinking that through, I thought it'd be nice to actually represent maybe some aircraft which are surviving, which is not always the case, but with this it was a chance to maybe consider, a great way to connect with collectors was to maybe have an aircraft which they could see on their medallion or their print, and then actually visit or see that aircraft in real life. So that was something I was thinking about, and when I was painting the Hercules, I thought, well, it'd be nice to actually tie it in with maybe the Hercules that they have at the Point Cook Museum in Victoria. So I reached out to the 37 Squadron Association, and they were really helpful in such a short time frame as well, and managed to actually tie that aircraft at Point Cook to operations in Afghanistan. So the aircraft I went with is number 11. So that survives at Point Cook, but it also saw operations in Afghanistan in that 20-year period. So it was great to get that sort of connection between the two. I guess the other thing worth talking about is maybe the title of the painting, First and Foremost. Has a nice sort of ring to it, I guess, which is something I always look for when I'm painting, coming up with titles for my paintings. The title actually comes from the motto of 37 Squadron, which is Foremost. So it had that nice connection to it as well. So it's a nice way to tie that through to that particular operation, but also the aircraft and the squadron. So hopefully the end result is a painting which can be appreciated by crews who operated on the Hercules during Afghanistan and the Middle Eastern operations, but also hopefully the general public with an appreciation for the aircraft can see that in the painting as well. So hopefully that happens. Enjoy.